Spears and Steinberg.
You know what the fuck it is?
Aries and Andy, Chew and the Jerk.
You know it's time to get this work.
The real raw, gutter, uncut cocaine. No political corrections.
Always sleep.
Fuck being awoke. We discuss politics and jokes.
Scribe, we lit.
There's levels to this shit. Before you was sucking on your mama's tit.
Aries Spears don't give a fuck.
We talk about race a lot, racism,
Sexism.
Much love to my loyal bitch bag holders.
Rollers, clip loaders.
We got them in the folders.
The whole world on our shoulders.
Spears and Steinberg.
Yeah.
What's up, Aries?
Yo, we are in Arlington, Massachusetts. Never been here before. Been to Boston a gazillion times. Never been to Arlington, Mass. Ain't a motherfucking thing to do in this motherfucker. And we are in the fucking tundra. -10 fucking degrees.
I saw that it was going to be like that last week, and then I sent you that note. Are you bringing your long johns?
Well, I always pack my long johns, but I almost had to double up, nigga. -10.
When I was waiting for the Uber, there's a little backstory to all this that we're going to
It's
tell you
fucking
right
wicked, kid.
now. I was waiting for the Uber 4 minutes.
Right.
I knew it was cold, but I was using my phone. I was calling, we were talking because
Should have gloves on.
and I didn't have the gloves. I couldn't feel my thumb hurt like it was in pain when I got
It's
into.
not a game, folks.
Oh man,
You mixing this cold with this Boston, Massachusetts racism, this shit is biting, nigga. The wind says nigga.
and I took the train out here. I left it.
Go ahead.
I was supposed to leave at 10 something this morning. I left. We didn't leave for about, we're about 25 minutes late or something like that, 30 minutes
Right.
late. And then I don't know if it's from the cold or what it is, but they had issues the whole way out here. So I didn't get out here till, we're recording this like maybe 15, not even probably 15 minutes since I've been here.
Yeah.
And it was a pain. It's been a painful day. So you're getting this.
I don't want to give too much pre-podcast in terms of the appetizer, because the meat and potatoes is these two movies we're going to talk about. But I do want to say this. The funny thing is Arlington, Mass is maybe a 15-minute drive from Boston.
Yeah, this girl got dropped off.
Downtown
and came
Boston.
From. Yeah.
And if I would have knew it was this close, I would have told them put my ass in the hotel in downtown Boston where the action is, as opposed to where we're staying, which is 8 minutes from the venue. Because, 15 minutes, we ain't talking about a 7-minute difference. But it would have just been worth it only because I flew in on a red eye Thursday, got here Friday morning. For 2 hours, I had to wait in the car before I was scheduled to do radio at 8 a.m. Didn't end up getting on until 8:30 a.m. Then by the time I finished all the stations, checked into the hotel, it was 10. I was dead tired, slept the whole fucking day. But I've been in the hotel all day, so I'm close to Boston. So it's like I want to, experience a little bit of the city. So I had my driver take me out to a restaurant last night in the heart of downtown Boston on the North End, kid. And it just reminded me how much I love this city and how it's the enemy to New York. But nonetheless, it offers what New York offers in terms of attitude and chutzpah. So I enjoyed a nice dinner and some wine by myself. But fucking Arlington, kid. Brutal.
It's the sticks, man.
It's the stakes, goddammit.
I'm driving here with the Uber driver, and he just makes a quick right, and we're in the hotel. We're like went literally from trees to a hotel.
Yeah, and real quick, what the fuck I was gonna say before I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, I don't know. But yeah, so we're here in Arlington, doing the Regent Theater. Two things. Also, here's what I was gonna say. So maybe not right now, but on the email episode, we're here in Massachusetts, so he's gonna make an appearance.
Oh, he has to.
He's fucking to die for.
He
I had a couple people on Instagram when I posted the picture, the advertisement for me being at the theater. A couple people was like, they said, "Yeah, is Bobby gonna be at the show?" So yeah.
Are you gonna do? Do you think you might do him in your set?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Unless, that would have to be such a special thing for somebody to yell out.
Do it at the very beginning, at the very end.
Right. I love your fucking city, kid. It's fucking wicked.
Does he have VIP tickets here?
You fucking VIP. I'm fucking running the joint, kid. I'm fucking white. That my skin is VIP. Very important pigmentation, kid. All right. These two movies, one of which Andy brought to my attention, and I should slap myself, and I'm ashamed of myself for not having watched this movie way earlier. The Banker with Anthony Mackie and Sam Jackson. I can't wait to talk about that.
And we've been saying we were going to get this on because I watched it, and I watched it a while ago, and I didn't get it. I should have watched it on the train up here, but I didn't. So
it's about banks and money, the Jews. He was going to watch it because he definitely wanted to watch it because it was about banks and money.
But I've already watched it.
You know how them Jews are, man. But the fact that it was two niggas, he probably had a hard time settling in. But that's how they spy on us. All right. And the other movie, and let me just say, The Banker, 5 yos out of 5 yos. And the other movie people kept saying we had to watch was You People with Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy. I hate to say what I'm about to say. 1.5 yos out of 5 yos.
See, I have a different take.
Okay.
Because I liked what they were doing. I'll talk more about
and was
it.
it Kenya Barris? He's the guy that was.
Yeah, man.
And I know the creator of Blackish, and he pushes the envelope. I'm going to say this. For a movie versus television, the stakes need to be raised. And this felt like a long TV show.
No, I'm disagreeing with you. I'm going to tell you what I didn't like about it.
Okay.
As we get to it, there's something I liked it and then absolutely hated it at the same time. But then I had an epiphany.
Uh-oh.
So I haven't decided what to give this movie. I'm still wrestling with it because there's a lot of, and as we talk about it, maybe I'll get it.
Well,
I'm wrestling with a lot of things.
It was funny when I was at dinner last night. Andy said he was on his way to watching it, and I, of course, I'd seen it on the plane ride over. And his first thing he says to me was my first major
Before
note.
I even watched it, as soon as I watched like the first few minutes of it, I sent you a text.
And this was one of my first major notes. Eddie Murphy's character felt like, to me, Charlie Murphy, if Charlie Murphy was alive and had to play it. I even thought
he would have killed it.
If he was alive, he should have played it.
He would have killed it.
And I know they would have gave it to Eddie because Eddie's the bigger name. But that role was Charlie Murphy.
Murphy's role. That he would have played it in a way that it's just not Eddie Murphy's. It's not Eddie Murphy's wheelhouse.
Charlie is naturally intimidating. And if you knew him, I mean, nice guy personally, but
the nicest.
Right. But if you didn't know him and he was a nigga walking down the street, you might have just made sure you didn't bump into him.
Charlie, honestly, when I think about, he's one of the reasons why I started taking pictures with comics. Now, I never would take them before because I always wanted to pretend like I had been in the room.
Right.
And I had been there before. Like, this is no big deal. We're good. We're all working in the same industry. But when he went, and it was him and Ralphie May. And when those guys went and I didn't have pictures with them, I was so mad because I spent a lot of quality time with these people. Not days, not weeks, but quality time where we really were talking about some shit.
Right.
It pisses me off. But Charlie would have killed that. That was his role. That couldn't have been written any better than for him.
It felt like, and I remember when Eddie did his Charlie Murphy impression on Inside the Actors Studio. And it was Charlie Murphy. Without putting 100% into it, he was being Charlie Murphy.
The scene when you really first meet Eddie Murphy's character, he's wearing sunglasses. Charlie wouldn't have worn sunglasses. Charlie wouldn't. He might have had them on, but he would have taken them off because Charlie's eyes were part of his intimidation.
Right.
And that lack of eye contact, that's what immediately made me went, that's Charlie Murphy's part.
Okay, I agree. I'm trying to go. Should I go to the lighter notes first or should I get to the meat and potatoes? Let me go to the lighter notes. I'm going, dude, why is Julia Louis-Dreyfus the only one out of Seinfeld crew that works? Well, we know why Kramer ain't working.
Yeah.
I should have. Steve, on a side note, when I go, we know why Kramer ain't working. And Andy goes, yeah, I'm going to send you that clip of him having a meltdown. just cut to that clip for a beat or two. And coming out of that in 3, 2, One.
He actually Kramer, which is Michael Richards. He actually made it so no one was allowed to use that word at the Laugh Factory.
Yeah, Jamie tried that bullshit ban that only lasted a couple weeks. He ain't gonna stop comics from being comics, but saying words.
I love when he was like, "No one's gonna see it." That's
buddy, no one. We're going to ban, and this is why I said I don't want to get off topic, but I love Jamie. But just because you own a club, don't mean you know comedy. That's like telling a hunter, "I'm gonna take away your bullets. Go kill the animal." Like, nigga, come on, man, that's ammo. But. I noticed, like, and you said that at one point, Jason Alexander was more theater, but Seinfeld doesn't work really.
Seinfeld chooses. He does his own projects. I don't think if he has his plane, he has his life. He still likes doing stand up.
Right.
I don't think he gives a shit one way or the other.
That's probably more.
And he had offers to do movies and other things when he was doing. He turned them all down. I don't think that's his lane, and he's comfortable not being an actor.
But she seems to be the Beyonce of the group.
But she's looking different looking.
Hey, Paul Mooney, man, I think about that Paul Mooney joke, nigga, from time to time and just start laughing. White people, you guys are good up to 30 after that Nightmare on Elm Street. Damn, that's so goddamn funny.
She just looks, I'm not even going to say she looks bad. She just doesn't look like, I said to.
That's your people, man.
Tara and I were watching it and I go, that doesn't look like the same person that's on Seinfeld.
Y'all just bad aging people. Bad fruit is how you go. Hey.
Dude, I'm almost 60. I'm not.
Yeah, but you got that Jew skin. I mean, that yarmulke holds all your skin back. And I noticed again, with these comedies, but white people, y'all are heavy on sarcasm, man.
Yeah.
Black people don't do sarcasm comedically the way y'all do. Y'all are big on sarcasm.
That's really a Jewish. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's really a Jewish thing, and Jews have a very a part of comedy that's significant, and I think that's where it falls from. It is you don't, and this is a very Jewish thing. You don't say what you want. You say things sarcastically so that other people understand.
Passive aggression.
Passive aggression. The first time I'm driving with my grandmother, and they had this little cabin. And so we're going to this little cabin, and we're driving up there. And I haven't really spent that much time with my grandparents because I really didn't spend any time with my dad. So this was a big deal. And we're driving up to this cabin, and my grandmother said she'd sit in the back seat. And so I'm sitting up front with my grandfather. I'm having a good time. I roll down the window and whatever. We're having a nice time. And then my grandmother goes, "Wouldn't you rather the window be up than down?" And I go, "No, that's why I rolled it down. I'd rather it be down than up." And then there was silence for a while. And then my grandfather goes, "She's asking you to turn it down, to roll the window up with not asking you to roll it."
That's woman shit too, though.
Well, you're right.
Women do that shit.
But, it's your grandma. She could have just said, "Andy, it's blowing all over me.
Right.
Can you just roll the window up? Do you mind? Thank you. I appreciate it."
I thought you was going to tell me y'all was riding through a bad neighborhood, like an urban neighborhood. And she was like, "Andy, can you roll the window up? That nigga stench is hitting me all in my Jewish nostrils. I smell too much cocoa butter and Afro sheen and gold."
This is the thing, though. She would never... I never heard her cuss. I never heard her use any foul language. Because when you are passive aggressive like that, you don't have to.
Right.
You just keep saying, like, you use sarcasm, you use everything except what you really want to say.
Early on that scene with Jonah Hill and his boss, and they're, having those sarcastic moment. But then the boss starts talking about his dick. And comedically, Jonah starts talking about his dick with his boss and making jokes about trying to be funny, but something to the extent of grabbing his dick and shaking it or whatever it was. And again, I just thought to myself, especially when you think about a guy like Godfrey, who's so pro-black and stands on his manly morals. And I said before on this podcast, gay innuendos, white guys have no problem comedically doing gay innuendos. Whereas black dudes, again, we're more conservative and homophobic. But I wonder if you're offered the part of the boss and you're black, and this is a movie with Eddie Murphy. I put more weight on Eddie Murphy than Jonah Hill, but respectively, Jonah Hill too. But Eddie Murphy. As a comic, this is, hey, I'm suiting up to play ball with Jordan. Do you not take that part because of your manly morals?
I think you take it, but you do it in a way that has a different kind of strength to it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Those words that he used, you just changed those words a little bit because it was about his size and girth.
Right.
And, you know,
Right.
He could have, you know, you just, the way you say it, you change it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I
Make
think
it more like you are the giver of the big dick and not the recipient.
Yeah.
Okay. And that plays into the stereotype of black manhood.
But it plays into the dominance area. You know, that I'm dominating this conversation. Right. I'm dominating this moment. Not to be weak, because I think that's a lot of what. I think a lot of it is the perception of what weakness is, and I think I could be wrong because I'm going to say this from a different point of view. I've thought about this and why it's so different in the black community than it is the white community, and why a white person versus a black person would have the homophobia, as you put it. I think because it's deemed from a place of weakness. Homophobia was always about, you know, like you throw like a girl. That was a thing to say to someone who you know, if they were perceived as gay, they'd be like, you throw like a girl, which is weak. It's about not being dominant.
Right.
And I think because of society and the way society has moved, a black person does not want to present themselves as weak.
Or emasculated, because that's buck breaking and all that. Okay.
Going all the way back. Yeah. Why?
Okay.
And I don't think that white people have ever had to struggle with that. So it's easier to go, oh yeah, I can come from this place, because it doesn't, the history doesn't have the same hold.
Right.
So there.
Were you buying the relationship between Jonah Hill and her? I wasn't.
I could have. But that's Nipsey Hussle's ex-wife.
Yeah.
Well, widow, I should say, sorry. Yeah, once you have...
By the first time I saw her was... and she was a little bit younger, therefore lighter in weight. Not to say, you know, she's still beautiful and thick now and fucking gorgeous. But Atlanta, that movie with T.I. Georgia. But she was,
She was in a high school movie, and I forgot what the movie is. But it's about a night where I think not prom night, maybe graduation night, prom night. I don't know what it is.
She's hot to death.
And she's really hot.
Right.
And so, you know how you say white boy hot? Like,
right.
That translates to white boy hot. So I kind of understood it. But when I have the image of Nipsey in my head too, and Jonah Hill, I don't see, like, you don't go from Nipsey to Jonah Hill.
Right.
So in my head, in my head,
I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy it.
I could, you know what scene helped me buy it is the first scene when they're at the restaurant and then they play music, right?
Okay.
And you see everybody, it starts off, the restaurant's full, it's early.
Okay.
And you allow two people to sit and germinate. I like the word germinate for this. They germinate, they grow, right. they intertwine, they become something. And you saw that happening is how they set up. They had, without Kevin, what Barris did there, what I thought was interesting, and this is why I really have a new idea about this movie. He didn't give you why they had things in common. They gave you him, who was a little bit like the culture, and you see that he has a podcast, and that he has some that he has the connection,
right?
But you don't. Barris isn't giving you the ingredients of why they came together. He just let them sit there for a while. Like I said, that relationship, that connection germinates, and then after that, it continues to move on. They had something in common. They had a reason to sit there for hours and hours and talk. And I think that's what he's trying to tell you. You don't need to know why, but because they were able to sit there, they were able to do that, they were able to connect, they found each other in that. And then it didn't happen right then, but that was the initial. And then they had like other things.
She seemed so naturally rooted in her culture, in the culture, our culture, that, like you say, going from a Nipsey Hussle. Now we're talking about a movie versus her real life. But even they established early on in real life, she was with a black dude. And usually when black girls fuck with white boys, they're either black girls who really have a strong affinity for white meat, period. Which is to say that's usually all they date. Or they've been so disappointed and let down by black men continuously that they finally opened themselves to the option. She didn't feel like either one.
Or there's one more. That a female finds someone very interesting for whatever reason. Sometimes because it's not what you've been looking for. Sometimes someone can be interesting enough that they just, for whatever reason, move you into a direction that you are curious about who they are.
Okay.
And I can speak on that one.
That's a strong sometime.
But it can happen. And I'm speaking on that honestly.
Because it's happened to you?
I'm interesting. Fuck that, dude. I'm interesting.
GTA Andy, goddammit. Put your on the table.
I'm interesting. I mean,
you goddamn right, you. I forgot you do helicopters, cocaine, prison, motorcycles, tattoos. I forgot who you are.
All women that I've
dated. Shit out of me.
All women that I've dated. All. No matter who they were, where they came from, what their origin, whatever it's because I was interesting. I was interesting. I'm not the best looking guy. I've dated above my fucking scorecard every fucking time. I'm interesting. Be interesting.
I forgot.
And you're doing that in a joke right now.
You're right. I forgot. You got a chick 20 years younger than you that's a fucking attorney. God damn it.
Be interesting.
Every now and then I forgot. Andy, you got to remind me. Unzip your zipper. Stick on the table, nigga.
But if you're interesting, it passes a lot of things. But that doesn't mean you're going to get past it in life.
Right.
Because there's always more, there's more things that come up with it. But yeah, keep going. Because I do think though, and that's why I like that scene when they're in the restaurant, that if you gave interesting time to germinate, to come up, to grow, I think most people would be interested in another person, at least as a friend, as a person. But, and think about that moment. How many moments, honest moments, do you think people have to sit with each other? And now separate those honest moments and make them about people that don't necessarily go. You know what I mean? They're not from the same whatever you want to use. There's plenty of it doesn't have to be black and white. There's plenty of different variables in this.
Right.
But you let them sit there and you let them enjoy themselves. You let them find something common that's worth sitting there for, and spend hours with each other. Something can happen.
And folks, if it feels like we're kind of barreling through this, we kind of got the Mission Impossible clock in the back of our heads. Doom, 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 doom. Because we're trying to squeeze in 2 of these movies within a certain time before we have to go hit the stage. So I don't want to make it seem like if my pace and my pulse feels like we barreling through this, we're just trying to get it all in. Because I definitely want to talk about The Banker on the heels of this.
Okay.
Her meeting the family for the first time, and this is one of the moments that to me is what lost me. It felt so forced. It felt more like a skit on a sketch show than a real moment because it was too much politically correct overload.
But that's what it was supposed to be.
I know, but it didn't feel natural.
No, it did.
You thought so?
Dude, I was so cringy because I know those people. I know those people that
you thought that they would have really said all that in that one sitting. The mom and the dad, both back to back, nonstop.
No, the dad was the fun. What's
David
his name?
Duchovny.
Yeah, David Duchovny did such a good job with that little role because it wasn't a lot of speaking parts in that. But when, he didn't do that. He didn't do what she did. He stayed kind of cool and he was quiet the whole time. But when anytime music came up, and this is one of those things, like, and it's a very white thing that if you like black artists, black music, you think that that's your connection, that's your
black anything.
But that's but especially music, because then you have this idea that you somehow are cooler or like you understand something.
Right.
Like because music has a philosophy. And so if you think that you connect with the music, you think that you can find that way to a connection. And honestly, I'm going to tell you, the reason it was so cringy for me, that's what white people do. They try to find a way in to connect, to show that I'm not one of those. I'm one of these.
Nah, saying.
But it makes them one of those.
Right. When they add shit like that to the end of a statement.
And
nah, me.
it was cringy to me. We got it from two different places looking at it, but I'm going to tell you, he captured something. Yeah, he took it a little over the top. Maybe it doesn't go that far, but it's a representation of what it is.
But to the flip side on that, the meeting with Jonah Hill and Eddie felt more honest to me.
With
Eddie
in
Murphy
the restaurant
at Roscoe's, yeah. That didn't feel like a skit.
That didn't, but I usually, and this could be my ignorance and my limited amount of connection in this. Usually the mom keeps the dad from going as far as he wants to go. In this one, the mom was kind of, but on the other hand, he asked to meet at Roscoe's.
Yeah.
So it was almost, the mom could have been insulted by that in the first place. Like,
I didn't even get that Nia Long was the wife until later. I thought that was his other daughter.
Oh, because
I didn't even pick that up.
See, that was a little off for me too, because she's never played a mom. Has she played a mom?
No, not that I've seen.
No, because that's not her part. But she played it. I thought she did well with it. I'm not going to knock that at all. But usually the wife is the one who kind of like calms that down or like tries to like but she was part of it. She wasn't, that's the only thing that I noticed in that scene. But yeah, Eddie, I felt like that was honest. That was honest.
And again, that was the first time we see Eddie. And I was so caught up into that being Charlie Murphy.
Yeah.
You know?
Should have been.
Yeah, listen, man, I'm going to be honest with you, man. And I've said this before. Eddie's a legend. He's an icon. He's a GOAT. No question. But this second half of his comedic life, and I think this is a great compliment and comparison. Because people, if you know what I mean, you know my affinity for number 23, Michael Jordan. He's the king. But there's a difference between Wizards Jordan and prime Chicago Bulls Jordan. And Eddie Murphy to me right now in this second half of his comedic life is Wizards Jordan. Still respectable, still putting up 20, right? Still did them good shit, but just not the same.
But did you say Eddie the Murphy?
Did I say Eddie the Murphy?
It sounded like you said Eddie the Murphy.
Eddie the Murphy. Yeah. Yeah.
That would be better if you did it in your English guy voice.
Yeah. Eddie the Murphy. Here comes our entertainment, the Negro, Eddie the Murphy. All right.
But on the other side, and I just think too much, and I do this, and I really have went over this part because I do really like Charlie Murphy. But do you think that maybe if he felt like he was doing an impression of his brother, if he went into it like a Charlie Murphy kind of, that different.
You know what I thought was missing from some of this? I wanted to see Eddie go there. I wanted a little bit of 20, 30-year-old Eddie. There were moments where I thought he should have been rougher. He should have been more profanity.
But he's also trying to balance his new. He's balancing his new. He's Muslim now.
Yeah.
He's not a bad guy anymore. He's trying to be an example to the community.
I felt like this particular role, and because look, man, tension. The more something is tense, comedy plays a better role. And I thought that with some of the tension that was there, that should have been stronger, a rougher, street grittier 2030s Eddie would have made it better.
I think that
he was too reserved a little bit.
The part where I thought the miss was and what you're talking about.
Please say what I think you're going to say.
The juice, when he went to meet his kids at the juice place. And why I thought that would have been great there at the juice place, because these were all these white people. And
right.
If he would have done it there, it wasn't on anybody. It didn't ruin any of the momentum of the story, because he could have just made it about culture versus the culture's intersection of white and black, and then make it about this being at this juice place. Because then he brings up Dr. Sebi, he brings up a lot of different things that could have been really cool right at that moment if he would have been the guy that you're talking about to me.
Here's what I thought you were going to say, and I thought this was such...
Oh, the basketball thing?
No.
Okay.
Well, I got something else about the basketball
Okay.
thing. A missed opportunity. The family dinner.
The family dinner.
When it started getting tense about Farrakhan and Jews and slavery. Again, the more tension, if you brilliantly execute comedy with that tension, that is a water cooler moment. That is a oh my God moment. And I thought right when they started to get heavy, they got hacky with the Kofi catching fire. And that was the bailout.
Now the Kofi catching fire, and I'm glad you brought that up. I saw the comedic intent, but it was such a 1, 2, 3. This has been in every movie before. 1, we have a little diversion. 2, now they can't handle it.
It's no different from Meet the Parents and the ash in the vase with the cork and boom, the ashes pop, hit the ground. It's a hacky moment. We've seen that. The chaos at the dinner table.
Where the moment is the moment that I thought would have been really great, like you're talking about there, is when he goes, no, I agree with Farrakhan. When Jonah Hill's like, tell me why you agree. When I thought it was great that he kind of stopped and go, oh, well, then tell me why you agree with Farrakhan. Right. And right there at that moment when he didn't have anything, that would have been great if he would have thrown some Farrakhan quotes out, something that about
Jonah
white
Hill?
people. Not Jonah Hill, that Eddie Murphy could have been when he goes, well, like everything, and then bring up some really hard fucking hitting Farrakhan statements. I think they might have been, it seems, and it seems like this movie want to avoid controversy though.
And that's partly my point on why I give it 1.5 yos. When you got Eddie Murphy and you got topics like this and you're talking about race, this is the moment where you go from, that works on TV with Blackish because you can only go so far. With a movie, you're supposed to push the fucking envelope. And when you got Wizards Eddie, even Wizards Eddie, Jonah Hill, as funny as he is with sarcasm and topics about race, how do you not go there?
He goes further on the cable show.
On the cable show.
Black AF. Black as fuck.
Oh, okay, right.
He goes further than he did on this. But there's a reason why I think he did. And I keep going, and this is why my epiphany of the show, what it was. I think it was something different.
Yeah, and then let me jump to another moment. I was going, please say it. Please convince Jonah to say niggas in Paris. And then he didn't. Why are you building this moment up to go out like that? They should have made him say it.
There was another way to go. And I said it to Tara while I'm watching this. If Jonah would have looked at him and go, don't fuck with me. You know exactly what you're trying to get me to do, and I'm not going to do it.
Right. I'm not going to say niggas in Paris. Just a slip up out of frustration. Maybe it causes a car accident. Just, my God.
But he could have owned that moment where he knew instead of being so passive and you know what the dad's doing, call the dad out. Because he did in we haven't got to the basketball game. In the basketball game, he used that moment to show him who he was.
That is perfect. Let's go to the basketball moment. That felt a little hacky to me. But fuck it. I'll even go with that. Let me take that back. Because let's say, he a white boy that could ball. Because actually, let me take that back. Because there's something else. Well, I'll say bullshit. But it made me think of Artie Lang's joke.
A little bit.
Imagine if that would have been another perfect place where it's like, record skip.
Yeah, but
that would have been brilliant.
But the point in this, because they have to go back and forth, the point in this was to show Eddie Murphy's character. What is his name in this? Eddie Murphy's character.
Oh, shit.
I can't even remember his name.
Akbar or something.
Oh, Woody.
Woody's his real name.
And
is his Muslim name.
Okay. Anyway, it's to show him that he's wrong. Like, just because I am this white guy doesn't mean that I can't play ball.
Okay, but you could have done both things. Why not?
You could have.
Show him balling, which gets like an Artie's joke, which they embrace him even more. So much so that he's so embraced, he slips up. And then cut to him running to the car, all them chasing him, and Eddie's just walking slowly, knowing he got the wait to open the car door, and Jonah's banging, open the car! And this is the joy for Eddie, knowing I can open the car and let him have shelter in the car, or I ain't gonna let these black brothers whip this white boy's ass because it's my daughter's fiance, but I'm gonna scam a little bit. Like, you could have had more fun with that.
He could have had more fun by just saying, I play ball like I'm in Paris.
Okay. Because
then that goes back to the song.
I said, Eddie, and you know what? that's a great lob, but you got to finish that with the dunk. I think it's funny if he said, I just play ball like a nigga in Paris.
But they're not going there in this movie.
And that's why it's disappointing to me.
Okay.
I thought the barbershop moment was, again, felt like a skit. I've been to several barbershops in the hood. And a lot of barbers cut white boys. There's a lot of white boys that go to black barbershops in the hood because either they get their hair cut kind of like ours, or because there's just niggas is nice with them scissors and clippers. And I've never seen a white dude in a black barbershop catching the heat that he was catching. That felt like a skit. That felt so overdone and so comedically dramatized.
I've never seen that situation occur, and I have when I used to keep my hair real short in Arizona. I would use there was a shop there that was everybody went to it. I would go to a black barbershop now if I wasn't living in Hoboken, because there is no black barbershop in Hoboken. Right. But the reason I'd go now is because I don't have a lot of hair and I'm doing a 2. I'm doing a 2 on the my clippers on the 2. And I don't want, when you go to a white shop and they use clippers, man, they take fucking forever. I other than my son, everybody takes so long. I want someone just to do it quick, because when you're working on black hair, you get quick, man. These guys, for my hair, you don't have to line it up or anything. You just got to take it down. So I know that's why I would go. Right. So all that being said, yeah, you go in, but I've got to be honest. I did experience the very first time I went to a black shop to get my hair cut. They were like,
were they at you like that?
Not that deep, but they were like,
okay, maybe a glance.
And it's not really the barbers. It was the people that were waiting.
Okay. But that just felt too...
Yeah, it was like you just said, it was sketch-ish.
Right. Dude, the funniest scene in the movie to me, fucking Dion Cole. When he was explaining the Tron wedding, that was the hardest I laughed throughout the whole thing.
Do you think that was made up on the spot?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because who writes Tron Wedding? That has to be something where you did 18 takes and that's the one that they kept.
I can tell you what was definitely made up on the spot. And I've said this before, regardless as to whether or not he and I may have had a little friction, Mike Epps knows how to steal a fucking scene. When he said, "And man, get this white Barry White something to drink." And Eddie went, that was Eddie's real laugh. He really made Eddie laugh. I know that was improvised. No single writer is looking at Jonah Hill going, the white Barry White. That was Mike Epps. Mike is quick, and Mike knows how to steal him and Kevin Hart know how to steal scenes, man. They know how to take lemons and make lemonade. And I'm telling you, Eddie's real laugh inside the actor studio. That's the movie. That's Eddie's real laugh. He made Eddie laugh.
Yeah, I would say true. If you have all these, and there are so many comedians on this, by the way. Sam J's on this.
Dion Cole.
The dude you like, Andrew Schultz.
Fucking Mike Epps, Kim Whitley.
Dude, we did his podcast. Mexican dude.
Oh, Felipe
Esparza.
Yeah.
Man, it was packed with comics. Yeah. And if you don't let those guys go to work, you're wasting talent.
Yeah. And really, my last note, I felt like we barreled through this, but again, we're trying to get the banker in there. My question is, did the tit for tat on both the comedy and the serious moments in regards to race, did it feel too convenient and contrived? And I'm going there with the whole, look, I know it's a movie and there has to be an character arc, and the characters have to go from one way of thinking and acting to the other for it to all come together. But, the dinner party and then the breakdown of how, I forget the name of her character, but she, broke it down to Julia Louis-Dreyfus about how she made her feel like a black woman as opposed to a woman. And then how Jonah Hill laid into Eddie. And of course, the ending with everything just like a Cosby show comes together and culminates into this beautiful copacornia of just racial harmony.
I was, okay. Am I answering this question? Or are you going to?
No.
I was with the movie and I got to the part. where they can't do black and white. This is the Sam J thing. Black and white don't go together. It just is. It's not ever going to work. And that's where they went with the movie. And I got to the part where these two people love each other and it exploded. And I got to tell you guys, and I'll tell you this, I'm saying this on the podcast. If you know me at all, and reading some of the comments, some of you don't know me at all. You think you do, but you don't know me. I always believe that it's just us in our own way. This works. We're just people, man, and it works. Our histories, our past, and then all this that you just saw, the overreaching, the everything that happens in this movie. Maybe we won't make it. Maybe we just don't have the pieces to the puzzle to make it fit together. And that's where I was with that. And I was sad. That's why I liked the movie. It got me to feel that because I do feel it sometimes. I do feel like this doesn't work as a whole. It won't ever work. That being said, then the parents realized they fucked it up. And then this is where I hated the movie. The parents get together, and all of a sudden, there's a wedding after they cancel a wedding.
The cornucopia of,
They canceled the wedding after a dinner, whatever. What's the dinner before?
The dinner party, like the wedding party.
Yeah, the wedding dinner.
Right.
The wedding. So they canceled the dinner after that. They canceled the wedding after that. And then the mom and Eddie, which are the antagonists to each other in this movie, they get together and then they plan the wedding, invite everybody, and then they invite him to go get shoe shopping, and then that's going to walk them into getting married. I was like, fuck, this movie had potential, and they fucked it up for me right there.
Listen. I say if the movie was good enough, we all know that life doesn't always have happy endings and is not predictable and sometimes just doesn't go the way you see it. Why not kind of give us the ending you want to give us, but also keep it based on a little bit of reality where it doesn't necessarily work out, which might leave the door open to a you people too, where then maybe in the second one, it comes together better. A la Meet the Fockers.
Yeah.
Meet the Parents.
Well, they still left it open for it too, but
I don't think they did.
Here's my epiphany.
Where there's no tension when everything comes together magically and beautifully at the end.
Well, here's and I don't like the magically and beautifully at the end. I don't believe in that, and I don't like when movies do that. So that was but then I had an epiphany on the train. Because all this throughout the whole thing, and it's so important that the thing about black and white don't go together. They're never going to it's never going to happen. It's never going to work out. It's never going to work out no matter what. And that was such a big statement. And it came somewhere in a weird place, and it comes at the podcast. And I'm like, why did Bears put this? What is this? And when I was on the train, I'm really going over it and thinking about it. What if he was just talking about if all these other people just get out of the fucking way? What if people just got out of the way, especially this was an older group and these were younger kids that had a relationship within what they understood, their part of their culture, how they intertwined in the culture. And I love that they called out whether it's, you're going to call it the culture now. It's not black culture, it's culture. But in that culture, if everybody got out of everybody's way, does it work? Do we find a way as people to make that work? And is it some of the old ideas that are holding us back? What is it? And so I kind of got this because I thought it was interesting that he didn't show us what made them attracted to each other. There's a little fight in the scene where, Jonah didn't freak out and he's like, oh yeah. And then showed her the picture and all the stereotypes, but yes, you do look like this. And yes, I do. Okay. So she gets over it a little bit. They actually go out and eat. We don't know why they came together. We just accept that they came together. So if you accept that they can come together, can you accept that they can stay together? Can you accept that we can all come together? And is that what the Muslim and the Jewish woman and the Muslim man, and they talk and they get together? Because that doesn't happen either. The Jewish woman, the Muslim man don't talk. If everybody just stops and becomes part of love, I know that sounds hacky, but if it does, is that the road? That's
why I say to me this, listen, we got 3 movies out of the Ben Stiller De Niro Meet the Parents, and then Meet the Fockers, and then whatever else it was called. That we got 3 of those, and that tension always stayed. Yes, there was the happy ending in the movie between Ben Stiller and his girlfriend, eventual wife, but that tension between Stiller and De Niro, that was the through line in all 3 movies. So why not treat this the same way? Don't make this one and done. And again, with a topic as delicate and as taboo as race, there's a lot of meat on that bone. Don't rush it.
But there's some interesting things that he did in there. There's some interesting things that
let's not get long with it.
Okay, I know. But I'm just going to say, I'm going to say this, and then we'll get through. It's interesting how he did this, because also, just think about this. Jonah Hill goes, you see him on dates, and he went on a date with the white girl, and they're at Cantor's, right?
Right.
You never see her on a date with a black dude after that. She's with her girlfriends. She talks to her girlfriends. He was very careful not to make this about black men too. There's a lot. I would love to hear his take on this movie, because there's a lot of very interesting things that he did that I think are pre-planned and determined. I think that he was very specific in what he was writing. I would like to hear him if anybody knows him, please, let's see if he wants to do our podcast. He's way too famous for us.
I just think that with everything you're saying, that is more to my point.
That it should have been done right and longer.
Longer. A sequel.
But I think that there's a lot in this movie that if you really, and seriously, I had to really think about it. I did really think about it. I put time into it to understand it, because I couldn't understand that left that it took when they got married.
Right.
Anyway, it's interesting. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Let's get on to this banker, because Aries wants to get into this, and we're out of time.
Oh my God. Listen, man, I know that in the black community, we could reel off hood movies all day long. Juice, Clockers, New Jack City, Paid in Full, New Jersey Drive. I could go on and on and on and on. This movie should be demanded curriculum to be watched in schools. Why can't we name movies roll off our tongue like The Banker, like we do hood movies? This movie was so uplifting, informative.
Based on a true story.
Inspirational. Man. And you know, I know I jokingly say and have said, along with Godfrey and Vince Morris, especially when we talked about From Hebrew to Negro, look, Cliff Notes, black people the shit, the end. Throughout history, from inventions to entrepreneurs to athletes to entertainers, we're the shit. And the more and more you learn, the better. And I'm just going, as a community, we know the hood shit. We celebrate hood movies like there's no tomorrow. Why aren't people talking about this movie?
Well, let me ask you this question, because here's another interesting thing about this movie. Who in the fuck was it marketed to? Did you know about this movie until I told you? Or no, when I came to you?
I saw a poster.
I know Anthony Mackie has popularity now.
Yeah.
But he's not driving bodies to the theaters.
No, his biggest claim to fame is obviously the Avenger movies, and he's not even a main. He's like, you know,
he's. I'm not knocking him by that.
No, I know what you're saying, though.
I'm just saying, is that enough to bring people to the? I don't think so.
Well, with Sam Jackson.
Well, Sam, but his parts, you know, it's not the. What I'm saying is, was it ever even marketed?
Right.
Is because
I couldn't even. I found it on Apple TV. I looked on Amazon Prime.
I think I got it on Apple.
That's where I got it.
But the movie's great. And it's well made. It's filmed well.
It's fucking awesome.
Everything about it's good. I was worried you weren't going to like it because it's not it is a little slow. It's not.
No, I didn't find it slow at all.
You didn't find it slow?
No.
It's a build though. It is a build.
I thought I loved it from the very get-go.
Good. I'm glad you did. I was worried that you weren't, but it's a movie that should be seen.
I love when Sam Jackson says to him when they meet, "You're angry, but you don't show it. That's the best kind of anger because it fuels you without making you a target." I've been doing angry wrong, Andy. I've been doing angry wrong. Because he's like, dude, you can be angry and it could be your fuel, but don't show it because now you're a target. Now you give them a reason to go, angry black man, can't deal with him. Fuck the reason why he's angry. He's just angry. We're the source of his anger, but we won't take accountability for that. We'll just go, you're angry.
Let me just ask you this question and take black and white out of it.
Focus on the symptom and not the problem.
Take black and white out of it for just a second. Who gives a fuck why anybody's angry? Does anybody care?
No, nobody cares.
But that's my point. There's the accountability part is secondary, because this goes to this famous saying that I wanted to say to you the other day is the best revenge is living well. Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Who cares if they know what your anger is? Live better than them. Take your shit to the next level. That's the best part. And to me, and when you see the character, and I really like how they played the character. What is it? Sam Jackson's character in he isn't in the movie that much, but that's key because that's understanding his character. He doesn't need to be. He's the driving force.
Right. You know, when they show how he, you know, Anthony Mackie makes his very first deal, and when he goes outside of the normal business practices, and he even says to the guy who eventually becomes his partner, who eventually dies, which eventually leads him to partner up with Sam Jackson. He goes, "You went outside of normal business practices from a I don't know what the right wording is, but from a business standpoint, what you did was wrong." I don't know if ethics is the right word, but ethically what you did from a business standpoint was wrong. But I'm also commending you because it got the job done. And I'm just going, why is life such a trick where you're supposed to be taught to follow these rules to attain this? But a lot of times to attain that, you got to go outside the rules. You got to break life's rules, which is scary to do because you worry about the consequences.
But, you know, this is...
I'm sorry. Let me just say, Will Smith had a great quote where he said, everything that you want is on the other side of fear.
Yeah, I could say that.
Right.
I always like this, that if you follow the path that's set before you, you'll never get to anything new.
Okay.
Because, yeah, you're just going down the same thing that's already been there. So when they say breaking rules, and this is where the ethics part comes in. If you don't really do anything that's against your ethics, if you don't do anything that's going to get you in trouble, but you break the rules. Yeah, because you have to. There's no other way to get there.
Good things come to those who wait. Better things come to those that don't.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and part of the reason why I didn't find it slow is because the dialogue between Mackie and Sam Jackson.
It's great.
It's great. The way that the pacing of it, but more so the actuality of what they're saying based on their circumstance. It's fucking...
When I say that I thought you were going to find it slow is because it's not a period, like an old period piece, but it's a little bit different. The cadence is different. The way that they handle things are different. Because it's, what is it supposed to be, 50s or 40s?
40s, 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even like, my favorite, one of my favorite parts is just as a young kid, Anthony Mackie's character is just sitting, listening.
Yes, from the jump.
Yeah, listening out the window because he's not supposed to be at the bank and just listening to what the bankers are saying inside the room.
Even that moment is such an inspirational moment because, again, we idolize hood movies so much that you'll see that same scene, but it's of a kid making his first drug deal or seeing his first body or claiming his first victim. And that's the path that leads him on.
Or hitting his first home run or scoring his first touchdown.
Right. This is a kid with a piece of paper and a pencil listening to numbers and equations.
Valuing his brain.
And business. Oh, my God. That's why I'm saying this should be mandatory curriculum in school. But
when you think about it, that's not a black thing either, though. That's like kids value superhuman feats. You know what I mean? Like being able to hit a baseball, being able to play basketball, danger, things. Who cares? You're really good at your studies.
But you have to understand why that's important to us.
I do.
This morning, I was watching on PBS a great documentary called Being Black and Making It in America. And the guy had a quote talking about the Great Depression in the 1920s and how it affected America. But it said for black people, it was like when America catches a cold, black people catch pneumonia. So even though you're going, that shouldn't be a black thing, it's important as a black thing because in that same scene, the older black man snatched him from the window ledge and said to him, don't be listening in on white folks' business. Like, you get killed for that. And his father even said to him, hey, man, you want to be a laborer or this or that? That's attainable. Making money the way you want to make money like white men, that's not realistic. Cut to one of the most successful building owners and bank owners in history. So when you say take the black and white out of it, you can't.
Well, what I'm saying is that is normal for kids to act that way, is what I'm saying.
But nothing has been normal for black kids.
And but to your point, if you just do number wise, you only have a smaller amount of black kids than you do white kids at school. Let's just use a school. What's the number? When I went to school, I think there was only 3 black kids in my class. In my elementary school, there was 3 black kids that were in the whole school. So if one, how many do you need before one gets book smart? You need, because as kids, that's something you run away from, is studying your books. You want to play baseball. You want to play whatever it is. But there's enough white kids that some of them are going to fall into books. If you don't have the numbers, the less you have, the more important it becomes. That's what I was saying. Why I take it out, but then you got to put it back in, like you just said.
You know, I loved how Sam Jackson's character, it's like no matter how rough things got, he had I'm not surprised, I knew it was coming, this is how it is attitude. He even alluded to that in the beginning when he said, I don't trust people, period. I don't trust white people, but I don't trust people, period. Even black people. But I, especially don't trust white people. And at one point when it seemed like everything was getting to a point where they were just being defeated with no way out, Sam Jackson says to him, when you find out how life really is, you can't do nothing but laugh. Because he starts laughing at a moment when Anthony Mackie is going, how can you laugh? And that's when he says, when you find out how life really works, can't do nothing but laugh. And that was just another quote that stuck out to me because it's just like, goddamn. When people go, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And even though it feels like, does laughter really fix it? No, but what else can you do?
That's what's going to get you through it, because you got to get through it. I love that Sam Jackson's character always knew, and to the point of the real people that this is on, knew that this was always going to be an issue. There was always going to be problems.
Right.
And is anticipating the problem, not looking for it to be like it is for everybody else.
Right.
He's very careful, because that's even in his businesses. He's very careful to keep his profile down because he doesn't want the problems.
Well, before that, him and Anthony Mackie struck gold and major success in California. But when Anthony Mackie goes home to his small town in Texas, and I think Sam Jackson worded it where it was like, this ain't about money. This is about social justice.
Yeah.
You want to go and make history. And dude was like, yeah, we've made the money. Now let's be for a higher purpose. And it cost them. It cost them a lot of money. It cost them their freedom. They went to jail. And what was so beautiful was Nia Long, who was his wife, Anthony Mackie's wife in the movie, at one point, when they hit Anthony Mackie with the choice, you either cooperate the way we want you to, no jail time, or you be a hero and jail time. And he's walking with his wife outside the courthouse, this big, beautiful building. And he's asking her, what should I do? Am I doing the right thing? And she goes, look where you are. You're at the courthouse. In other words, you're doing something that is going to change people's lives, historical. And that always leans on the Muhammad Ali's of the world, the game changers, the Bill Russells and the Jim Browns. And again, you can't help but take your hat off to that, because who has the balls to do that? Especially when Sam was saying, dude, we're comfortable. We're successful. We're under the radar. But being in LA, California, ain't the fucking Texas.
Right.
So by doing what you want to do, we're taking a risk. Ooh. And he took the risk.
Because that's what Sam's character was the secret to his success. is you can be successful keeping it, being low key, not making other people want or to take you out, take you down. But like you said, Anthony Mackie his character wanted a different purpose. Dude, it's knowing you're going to take that hit is it worthwhile?
Right.
And if you're doing it for the greater good, I guess it's worthwhile.
Some would say that.
But are you willing to give up what you have, knowing that it's better for everyone, but it's not going to be good for you?
Right. Yeah. That's the hero that, like Dave Chappelle said, man, you my hero. Fuck being your hero, nigga. I'm trying to be rich. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't trade riches for heroism. And I love how they again, the genius of doing what you have to do to get where you need to be, and how they basically took the white boy under their arm, schooled him, trained him, and used him as a tool because he had his pigmentation was his power to ultimately get what they needed behind the shadows, which was the bigger picture.
Wrong white boy.
You said wrong white boy?
I mean, they needed the one that they trusted.
Right.
They needed to meet some more white boys.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He was the wrong one.
Yeah.
We got to go.
Yeah, I know, man. God damn. I didn't really have much less on this, but I know if we had really taken our time and really talked about it at the normal pace, this could have easily been an hour and a half. I don't really have any more notes. The only thing else I said is, when you look at this movie, man, I need a Nia Long in my life. The value of a black woman that stands behind her black man through thick and thin, god damn.
I think all dudes need a woman that makes. I think.
But I gotta put the color on it.
I know,
because
but
the historical.
You could go historical
and the statistical.
But I think men are better when they have someone
absolutely
that's fighting in their corner.
Absolutely, every man needs an Adrian. I'm just saying, given those times, you know.
And yeah, if you take the times.
Like, I was really going to be disappointed if the movie ended with simply them going to jail and losing all their money, which I thought when they were putting up the words describing the outcomes, that was it. I was like, oh, this is sad. But then when they reveal that they even used the white boy to help him, even though he snitched, so that they rode off into the sunset in the Bahamas.
Well, and yeah, but the white boy did let them know what was going on.
That's what I'm saying. It was the genius of, I thought, damn, this nigga backstabbed him.
But if he would have been a little bit smarter, they wouldn't have had to get in that mess in the first place.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. It was the wrong white boy.
Right.
But in the end, again, to what you just said, it was the right white boy that he came through in the end.
Yes.
So,
all right.
Quickly, because we got to go. Next week, man, we're going to be at the Funny Bone in Virginia Beach. That's February 10th and 11th. Funny Bone, Albany Funny Bone, February 17th and 18th. And then we're going to be at the Improv in Denver, February 24th and 25th. And I'll just give this one out too, because it's right there. March 3rd to the 4th, we're going to be at the Funny Bone in Cincinnati. That's Liberty Township, Ohio. Funny Bone, Cincinnati.
There it is, baby.
We got to go.
We got to go, man. Love y'all. You hear the emails tomorrow with Bobby Peterson here. Fucking wicked kid.
We're gone.
Spears and Steinberg.
Thanks for listening to the Spears and Steinberg podcast. If you'd like to know who's responsible for this shit, it was hosted by Ari Spears and Andy Steinberg, produced by Steve Merrick and Anthony Holmes, executive producer, Big Papa, Robert Kelly, and Matt Kleinschmidt for the Laugh Button podcast. For more information on where to find us on the internet, visit SpearsburgPod.com.